everyone, this is Isabella from Core Energy Healing Mabui. Welcome you to my YouTube channel. I hope you enjoy it, and if you do, please like and subscribe. I would truly appreciate it. Today we are going to talk about toxic relationships. So what are toxic relationships? As for me, those usually are relationships where there is a form of abuse, mental, physical, or emotional, going on between one person or both people or more. And when one side or both sides use a lot of belittling and manipulation and guilt tripping to get some form of control of another person. Now, before we go into it, I would also like you to check yourself, because we need to ask ourselves questions whether we are not at some point the toxic person in the relationship. It happens sometimes that we don't see ourselves this way, but actually we do it, and we need to take responsibility for ourselves and our actions and be truly honest. And if you notice that, I truly encourage you to stop being the toxic part in the relationship. There are 3 types of toxic relationships, as for me, and we are going to go one by one here. The first one usually is created between our friends or coworkers or acquaintances, and we put ourselves in this relationship very often because we allow it. And I would really like to emphasize the word allow, because it is our responsibility here. We do allow for things to happen. If we continue doing the same stuff, is going to happen. So please, I know it's sometimes difficult, but you need to take some actions to cut it off, and I will try to explain what's the best way to do that. So there are 2 types. I recognize 2 types here. One is because we have very, very low self-esteem. We don't love ourselves, we doubt ourselves. Very often it's because we were, in the traumatic situation at home, and we're used to being belittled by our family, or other people. So we don't even know who we are, and we don't know our values. So we will allow other people to use us and abuse us in many ways possible. The other is usually because we don't want to hurt other people. Let's say you have this friend who's always coming to you, always complaining about their situation, and in a way you know that their situation is difficult, but they don't do anything to help themselves or to change the circumstances of their situation, but they come to you and they want you to help them and support them and take care of their kids. And we worry that if we say something, that this person will be hurt or will be crying or something like that. In both of these cases, we have to understand that this will continue until we just simply do something about it. And what can we do, right? What can we do in those situations? Now, one simple way is to leave, but we sometimes cherish the friendship. We like the person in a way, so we don't really want to leave. So in this case, you have the other option is to stay, but then I suggest putting really, really healthy boundaries in the relationship between the two of you or more people, right? Because sometimes those people might not even realize that they create this toxicity, and until we tell them, they will continue doing it because we allow it, right? So I suggest having a very, very serious conversation with the person and actually move the responsibility on them in a way, for example, like telling them, I want to be a friend, I really cherish our friendship, but this way of our friendship is not working for me, and if you want to stay and be my friend, we need to change the rules of engagement here. And if you decide that you don't want to change the rules of engagement here, then it's your decision to leave the relationship. So it's not you who takes responsibility here for their actions, it's them. They have to decide whether they actually want to be your friend, whether they like you, whether they enjoy your company, and whether they actually value you as a person. The second type of toxic relationships is usually created with our family members, our parents, grandparents, brothers and sisters, and this one is a little bit difficult because of the culture pressure, right? We are told that family is everything. We are told that blood is important, that we don't leave the family behind. And that's why very often those people who are toxic, they run on it because they know we can't leave because we are the family. And this one is very difficult because we have to make a decision here and challenge ourselves about this. For me, family is great, but if there is a toxic element in it, it just cannot go on until there is some form of agreement between the two parties here. And just like with the one before, we talked before, also here we can make same steps. We can leave or we can put the boundaries. Let's say, example, right? Your mom always calls you every day and criticizes you, tells you this and this, and you don't do this right or that right, and stuff like that. And then you can just simply say, Mom, I love you, but I don't appreciate what you're saying. Now what's going to happen is that if you call me and you start doing this, I'm going to hang up. And the door to me is always open for you, but only if you follow the rules, because that's my space and I just don't appreciate that. Probably what will happen, your mom will be angry and she will try a few more times to do the same thing, but if you start consistent, she will realize that, she can't do anything about it. If she wants to keep the relationship with you, she will simply follow the rules. And I know it's very uncomfortable, but it does work. It does work, and the respect comes back between you and the person that you are in the toxic relationships. The respect, the mutual respect will come back. I truly think that it is doable, and I know people who worked on it and they managed to create really, really healthy relationships with their family members, but it does require standing your ground. You need to stand your ground here and don't be afraid of being criticized, that by people who will bring this family is everything slogan or rule to stop you from doing it. Don't be afraid. It's okay. It's okay. Family needs to have some form of rules to follow, and always remember it's your house, it's your space, and if you don't want something, you don't have to have it. Yes, so we can say no to family members if they continue being toxic. They choose to be toxic, so they need to go. Yes. The third type of toxic relationship can be with friends, with family members, with work very often, is when we are in this situation, when we think we have to tolerate the toxic relationship. We see that it's toxic, we don't like it, but we think that we need to do that's the only way. Example, you live with your parents and you're trying to save for your new house, so you will allow the toxicity from your parents just to save some money. Or you go to work and your boss is really mean and it's always criticizing you in front of other people and belittling you, but you think that keeping this job is more important, so you will endure all those bullying simply from your boss. Now, I would suggest that of course, I understand situations can be difficult, right? But maybe it's a better choice to actually leave the situation, because energetically it's very, very depleting, and it's like pushing gas and brake at the same time, because you're constantly in an energy of stress and resentment, and actually saving the money for the new house will take much longer than you think, because of this energetic kind of mishap here. Maybe it's better to rent some smaller apartment. Maybe your living conditions will be a little bit lower. Maybe you can find a better job than where the environment is much more friendly, and maybe it will be slightly less paid, but it will be so much more better for you. I know that those kind of decisions are very difficult to take, and it requires getting out of our comfort zone a lot, but the benefits of it usually are so much better than staying in those toxic relationships, unless you go into a full detachment, emotional detachment from those people. So whatever your boss or whatever your parents say, you're just completely not reacting. You just whatever. It doesn't affect you. It is difficult though, and it takes a lot of practice to be able to completely detach yourself. But if you do, then absolutely this is the way to go, because it will, how to say, when we stop reacting, when we detach ourselves, the toxic people, you kind of become useless to them, because you don't create energy. Because toxic relationship is a form of energy exchange. So if you don't react, if you kind of like whatever, I don't really care, they need to find a different source of income, not income, sorry, a different source of energy. So they will simply leave you alone. Detachment is good, but it's really difficult, can be difficult, because it requires truly emotional detachment, not just pretending that we don't care about what our parents or our boss say. Truly energetically we have to be emotionally completely detached from it. Otherwise, it still will affect us and it still will create the toxicity or continue the toxicity relationship. I hope this answers some of your questions and about toxic relationships. And if you have any more, of course, you know how to reach me through Facebook page or through YouTube. The thing is that we have to remember is we have full control of our life, and it's up to us how much we're going to allow other people to control us or mistreat us. But the most important thing here is very often it all is related to the lack of self-love. So what we need to do is to start here, to start loving ourselves, so we will not allow those things to happen, because we love ourselves enough not to bring toxicity into our life. Thank you so much for listening, and please let me know if you have any questions or comments. Talk to you soon. Bye bye.